Okay, good.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I'm going to speak in Romanian first of all.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
În primul și în primul rând, bine v-am regăsit la Photo Stories. Eu sunt Ștefan Mirea. În această seară l-avem invitat pe Bernard Bertrand. Bibi, can I say you Bibi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm used to it.
Okay. O să avem în jur de o oră și jumătate, o să facem un live shooting, dar înainte o să facem un switch, să trecem pe English. El de fapt este din Italia, dar s-a stabilit în Paris. O să ne vorbească despre cariera lui și cum a ajuns să fie brand ambasador la Panasonic. So first of all, thank you that you came here for us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for all these people and all our community, and a big welcome in Romania.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Trip?
Really good.
Yeah.
A little bit wet today.
Yeah.
No, perfect.
Yeah. So, Bernard Bertrand. Yeah?
Yes, exactly.
BB.
Yes.
So, why photography?
Why photography?
Yeah.
Why I start photography?
Yeah.
I've always been passionate by images, like since I'm kids, and I always been passionate by movies, but not the commercial movies. But I was really paying attention to details when I was watching movies. I was actually framing frame by frame, and I was able to capture the one shot I was interested in. If you remember, like Francis Ford Coppola did a big movie called Rumblefish. I don't know if you know, with Matt Dillon and Mickey Rourke and everything. It's in black and white. And this is probably one of the most impressive movie that I watched when I was really, really young. And you can actually pause anytime. It's a still image. It's a beautiful still image. And this made me understand that there was some magic into those kind of movies. And but at that time, I started photography because movie and cinema looked to me too complicated to access, because we were like using at that time like really big camera with really big teams.
Big lights.
That's the point, lights.
Big lights.
And now, like the generation, if I had to start again, I would probably step into video straight away now.
It's
because
not
of
so easy, because I'm doing video.
Okay.
It's not so easy.
No.
I think it's more easy for you.
Okay.
Like photo.
Could be. The thing is, I've seen the transition because I've been doing photography, still images for more than 20 years now.
Oh.
I started 20 years ago, like really like 20 years now. And I've seen the transition with the clients. When I started doing video, I was actually proposing my client that they were hiring me for catalog and fashion shoots. I proposed them, do you want also to shoot some video? And they was, we can shoot video? Yeah, we can shoot video with the same camera. That was 7 years ago, something like that. And then I started to shoot for them also video. And now I've seen that the demand shift. Now the same clients are actually more into video than still images.
I think because of the Facebook and TikTok.
Exactly. And Instagram probably also, because you got all those formats, the reel and stories. And
10 years ago, it was like I want to see more photos. Now I want to see more videos, small, short videos.
Exactly. You know, something that make me understand that like big time is that I've been contacted by huge clients who are actually doing lingerie. Okay, it's actually the group Van de Velde in Belgium. They are the biggest group for lingerie in Europe, and they asked me to shoot videos for them. And the first shooting I did for them was with the Red Dragon. So the Red Dragon with all the equipment and everything. And that was actually for shooting bumpers for Instagram, 50-second bumpers. Imagine this. The budget was enormous. And we were shooting for 15 seconds. So we did like 5 different bumpers of 15 seconds with a red camera and everything. And then after they contact me again, like 2-3 months after that, and they said, okay, do you want to do another shoot with us? Now we're going to shoot the swimsuit collection. Yeah. But this time we're going to fly over to Mexico. And so we're not able to bring all your stuff with the red camera and everything. So you need to find a solution. And at that time, actually, there was 2 options at that time. There was the Sony Alpha 7, to be completely honest, and the G4, the GH4 from Panasonic. And then I tested in the studio, and for many reasons, I chose to take the GH4 at that time. To be honest, mostly because when I tested the Alpha 7 at that time, after 45 minutes, it was overheating. And like going to Mexico under 40 degrees on the swimming pool, that was not an option to be with a camera that was overheating. So. And also because of the GH4 with the 4K, that was crystal clear image. So I stepped into the Lumix world at that time.
So you're gonna make videos from now?
What do you mean?
You're gonna make videos, not photos?
I'm shooting both, actually. I'm shooting both. Yeah.
Nice. So how did you become brand ambassador for Panasonic?
But this actually was related to that shoot, because when I went to Mexico for that big client, I went to the shop and I did get the GH4 from Lumix, okay? And then at that time, they were just releasing the camera by camera into the stores. There was not many supplies. So I went to the store and say, I need this camera for a job in Mexico. I can't go there with 1 battery. I need more batteries and stuff like that. So the store actually contact somebody from Panasonic. And the guy from Panasonic said, hey, for a professional, I'm going to come to the shop and I want to meet him. So he came, he gave me many batteries and said, okay, go ahead and then bring it to me when you're back from Mexico. And then when I came back, actually he asked me to show what I produced with the GH4 and say he really liked it. I can actually show the images and say, would you be interested into being a brand ambassador for Panasonic? At that time it was in Germany, the headquarters was in Germany. So I was part of the European board, and that started like this actually. They were interesting into, they were not interested into people pretending to be working with their tools. They were looking for professional. They were doing nice pictures, nice images with their stuff, and then they're going to be able to talk about their work, and that's it. And the GH4 was like really impressive at that time. Completely crazy camera.
Okay. Let's start your presentation because.
Okay. The only thing is that my presentation is on my computer. Probably okay. You're going to have a vision on those screens, and otherwise I'm going to turn my presentation like this. I'm sorry that there's no screen. It's not. So this is my name. I'm going to be really quick. So this is the kind of images that I'm doing sometimes. Those are still images. In those kind of image, there's no retouch. There's no post-production. This is open flash, but in a different way than shooting first and second curtain. I'm like posing for those kind of images. I'm posing sometimes for 20 seconds, okay, in a big studio, and I'm actually triggering the flash when the position of the dancer suits my needs. So I'm going to be like trying to be really quick to step into the shooting with our model today. I've been also doing for more than 10 years. I've been producing many images for Levi's. Levi's, the denim brand, obviously. What was interesting with them, actually the headquarters for Europe and Middle East was based in Brussels, and I've been doing images for them until when the head office in San Francisco decided to take back all the production of marketing in San Francisco. So there was no production in Europe anymore, and it's still the case now. But what was really interesting to collaborate with the Levi's Europe was that we were doing those kind of images, and those kind of images were called long-term imagery. That means that those kind of images and also the casting, the models that we were using, are supposed to be the DNA of Levi's. So it means that those kind of images could have been used 20 years ago, and they're supposed to be used within 20 years. This is the DNA of Levi's. So it was super exciting for me to be into that reflection and process from the marketing side of such a brand that I remember when I was a kid. I remember one advertising with the guy going into the laundry store, taking off the 501 jeans, and that with the Marvin Gaye song, that really impressed me also. That was really nice. And to be part of the reflection on what is the DNA of such a brand, it was really interesting. And all those models were coming on from Storm Agency, I believe, in London. So we were going sometimes with the marketing director. We were going to London to cast those kind of people that, once again, were supposed to be really representative of the customers of Levi's. So, and this is an important slide. Sorry, is that I realized working with Levi's the obsession into the details. You know, after all, they are selling denim, and they want to see the fabric. This is an obsession for them. At that time, I was shooting with the Hasselblad. I did actually get the first Hasselblad digital camera. At that time, it was the H1D. It cost me 32,000 euro at that time. Like I almost lost a kidney for buying it. But yeah, and because they were super obsessed with this. And it was either I was renting the camera every day for 500 euro, or I went to my bank and I said, okay, I'm gonna rent a camera 500 a day. And I got 20 days a year for them. So do the math, and it's better if I get it and then I can rent it to them. So the importance of details, they want it super sharp. That was an obsession with them, and I can understand that. And the interesting thing is, the reason why I'm talking about it is because I did see or encounter this obsession with fabric, you know, the details of the fabric with other clients in the industry right after. So this is my website. It's bernardbertrand.com, obviously, and then there's a YouTube channel, also Bernard Bertrand, and into this channel I'm also posting some backstage images of what I'm doing, and I'm also like posting the result, and also posting like a sort of tutorial, actually like giving all the tips and tricks on how I did it. So those are the kind of images I was producing for Prima Donna. I don't know if you know the Prima Donna brand. This is also one. I don't know how I can trigger actually. It doesn't work. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know.
One question. How did you start to work with Levi's?
Actually, that was really funny because at that time I was living in Brussels, and the headquarters was in Brussels, but the headquarters in Brussels actually contact the washing machine. The name of I believe it was washing machine, which is a marketing advertising company in London. Okay, because it was more interesting to work with the London agency, and actually they spot me based on some images that I did for editorial shots. So actually those images were breakdancers. I did shot breakdancers in action like this, and I was freezing them in motion. And at that time, this agency working for Levi's was looking for a photographer producing those images, exactly those ones, like action in motion in freezing action. So London contacted me. And after a minute, actually, Levi said, "But he's in Brussels also, and we are in Brussels." So they did skip actually the agency, because the agency in London would actually charge twice the price for nothing, basically, So they contacted me straight, and then from there I did work with them, and the collaboration was maybe more than 10 years actually, maybe more than 10 years, and we were shooting at least 20-25 days every year. And sometimes we were shooting actually 20 days in a row, because they were getting samples of the jeans, and maybe sometimes there was just one model of the jeans, just one, okay? And so and then this model had to be shipped back to San Francisco or somewhere else. So sometimes we were shooting 20 days in a row for them. It's a pity that I can't trigger the video. I don't know. This could be interesting to see. So those are the bumpers, the kind of bumpers. It's ridiculous. I can't start it. Okay, I don't know. You're going to be able to see it if you want to on my YouTube channel. The reason why I wanted to show you this is because those are the 15-second bumpers, and those have been shot with the Red Dragon at that time, and the production cost was really big. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because imagine all the money that they were putting into that kind of production for 15-second clip that people will watch on Instagram.
Can you tell us the budget?
It was 30K. 30K. Yeah. 30K for more or less something like that, which is like crazy amount of money for that. And then they contact me after that, and I told you I've been working with the GH4 for that, because it was recording 4K. That was the first one recording 4K at that time, with all the tools, peaking, zebra, waveform, and etc. And I hope I'm going to be able to show you no, nothing's working.
How do you get your clients now? Do you have an agency?
To be completely honest, and I don't want to pretend anything, but it's a long time that I don't looking for clients anymore. I got they're calling me. I know them for years, and they know me, so I don't have to find clients. But I remember really clearly when I was only eating pasta with butter, and that for maybe 6 months or something like that, I was struggling when I started photography. It was super hard to start, actually, to get somebody who give you your first chance. And actually, I started my journey after the school. I went to Paris, and in Paris, I knew exactly where I wanted to start. It was the Studio Daylight in Paris, one of the most famous studios in Paris. There was two, actually, the Daylight Studio and Pin-Up Studio. They were the biggest. And then I went there because I knew that somebody was working there. It's actually Jean-Baptiste Mondino. Jean-Baptiste Mondino is a famous photographer. He was at that time shooting Madonna at the Georges V for I don't remember the name, but it was actually banned from MTV, that clip. I don't remember, the really sexy clip in black and white. And now, just to give you an idea of who he is, he's been shooting like the last advertising for Dior with Johnny Depp in the desert. It's him. Yeah. So imagine, you know, like the big piece in the industry. So I went to the studio daylight and I started as a, you know, like as an assistant like this, like doing everything.
Lights and
putting the trash out, or say anything. I was the first in the morning and the last in the evening. And then somebody spot me because of, you know, my willing to do something, and they give me the chance. Once I remember that the boss of the daylight called me in the evening and said, "You wanted to do Mondino, you're going to do it tomorrow." And I remember what he said. He said, "You wanted to do it, you're going to do it tomorrow, but do it well. Otherwise, you're going to be able to say, I did it once." So that means that, okay, you're going to be kicked out. If you're not doing it well, you're going to be kicked out. And actually, I stayed with them for 3 years. And we did everything, like all the Chanel and Yves Saint Laurent, everything. Because he was shooting the most important, you know, advertising. So with him, I've been learning so much in terms of light and stuff like that, but also everything around the light and the techniques. You know, how to handle the clients, all the psychology behind this, you know. Like, just to give you an example, and I've never been talking about this before, but once we had to do the perfume for Dior, it was poisoned with Dior, and the model was actually Mila Jovovich that day. And she just came out of the movie, no, when you know the French, you know, the
Bruce Willis.
Jeanne d'Arc, exactly. She was out of Jeanne d'Arc, and she was super famous. And when she came in the studio, she was really funny because actually she was holding a Rolleiflex, you know, the vintage camera. And she came on the studio and she was actually shooting us, setting up the stuff, the equipment. And we were like asking, okay, she's shooting us, okay, no problem. And then she went away. But when we called her for doing the first shot, we've seen she was really tired or something, because she was a little bit like shaky with that, but we had the perfume on her wrist there, so we put a stand and everything. And the funny thing is that at the end, when at the lunchtime, everybody left the studio, so we were there with Mondino, superstar in photography, Mila Jovovich, also superstar, and Mila asked Mondino, can I shoot a picture of you? And Jean-Baptiste, who is a sort of a bad boy, he don't care about anything, he said, okay, I'm going to pose just for you. And so he take all the clothes off. He was naked in front of Mila Jovovich, and Mila was laughing and laughing, realizing that it was completely crazy, and she was shooting, but in those Rolleiflex, it's 10 shots, and that's it. You know, so she was laughing and shooting Mondino naked, and then she left. And then the really funny thing is that after that, we were into the elevator to go also to the lunch with Mondino, all together with Yama, the other assistant. We were 3 in the elevator, and he said, you know why I did this? And we were like a little bit bored because he was doing those eccentricity all the time. He said, no, we don't know. He said, first of all, because I don't care to show me naked. And second thing, she can't refuse anything to me this afternoon. And that was completely genius. She was a superstar. She came from Los Angeles or something like that. She was obviously really tired. And he had so much pressure on his shoulder, shooting the Dior campaign with a superstar. He also is a superstar, but she could be, you know, like, I don't know, it could be difficult to shoot her. And by doing things, like literally posing naked in front of her, like saying this, she can't refuse anything this afternoon. That was genius. And actually, the really stressing part of the shooting is actually when they came back, the makeup, hairdressing and everything, he actually shoot maybe 4 rolls with the Pentax 6x7. So it's like 4 rolls is really, really few pictures. 4 rolls of 12 pictures or 10 pictures. So 40 pictures for a worldwide campaign. I swear to God, when we went to the taxi to carry those film to the studio, we were like this, with hoping that nothing happened to the film. So yeah, that's my experience.
Can we start?
Yeah, sure. So the presentation. Actually, I'm from, I originally from Brussels, then I went to Paris, and I stayed there, and then I've been moving around. So I went to Los Angeles for a year or so. I've been traveling all the time, more or less.
Nationality French?
Pardon?
Nationality.
Belgium.
Italian.
Belgium. I'm half Belgium, half Italian, actually.
And, your language learned from family was French?
French, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
If they have any more questions for you, at the
Any
end,
question?
for now,
But it's up to you.
yeah? Doar ceva? Ok. Haideți să trecem, dacă nu aveți... Ce?
E totul clar.
Ah, e ok. Ok, let's shoot.
All right. This I'm not going to need it.
Yeah.
Hoppa. So today nothing complicated. I wish I had another HDMI cable.
No. Here. Take it. This one.
This is for the output, right? Okay, no problem. Wait.
Wow, this is for live video.
Yes, you can put it out here, on the out. This is in.
Okay.
I hope it's not going to... So let me explain my setup right there. It's super hot, huh? No? Or it's me? Damn. Super hot. Okay. Okay. So this is the kind of setup, super simple actually, that I'm going to be using when I'm doing fashion or mostly beauty shot. But even when shooting fashion, jewelry, and stuff like that, you could be using those kind of image, those kind of setup. So let me explain really quickly. First of all, I came and I look what was available, and this is pretty good. The interesting thing is if you're starting, it's super cheap. It's not expensive equipment. In that case, it's the Godox, really affordable. And if I had to start like right now, I would probably invest into those kind of light. This is my main light. You see that I put my model really close to the light, and this is what I do most of the time, to do like a sort of a ball of light around her, because you know that the light decrease at the, I don't know how to say it in English, but basically the more you go, the more it declines. So I put my model really close to it, and then you can see into her eyes that I'm bringing this, which is what we call a catch light. And the catch light will bring a sparkle in the eyes, but not only. It will also clean up the shadow in her face, obviously. If I'm showing you with and without, this is without. It's more, the contrast is way more stronger. And then there's this. And you see that it's really beautiful when I look at her like this, especially also she got like clear eyes, so it's really bringing something into the eyes. And what I do is also like I'm putting a light behind her just to shape an eye light behind her. In that case, I should have used a stronger light because my balance it's not really good in terms of background. I should have used a stronger light, but this one is also already at the maximum. So let me explain you something really interesting or important in that case. I'm using an variable ND filter in front of my camera. Do you have an idea why I'm using it?
Yes, to be able to decrease the intensity of the light.
Yeah, okay. But
Practically, it's a dark glass which allows you to go down without.
dim down, yes, exactly. So this is exactly the question, the answer. Actually, this ND filter, which is neutral density filter, which is a gray filter, it's variable ND, so it means that when I'm turning, it's getting darker. But the reason why I'm using it, most of the time I'm going to use it outside. The reason why I'm using it right now, first of all, is because I got a super bright lens. In that case, I can open at 1.7, which is really wide. And also because then I could actually been using f1.7 here right now and dimming this down. You know, I could just making really soft, and that would be okay. I wouldn't need the ND filter. So the real reason why I'm using this ND filter right now is actually to kill this. This is not longer affecting her. You know, it's too dark. If I was dimming this down, then it will match this, and this will not be good. So let me show you what I see. You see, when you see it like this, it's not really nice actually. Huh? I don't know if you see. Do they see something from there? Yeah. Okay. And then, boom. You see? This is typically the beauty shot kind of image. Okay, I'm going to record from there. So now, I don't know if you see the eye working on her face. It's actually on the face detection mode, so it will focus on the eye, okay? So you can move really slowly, go profile sometimes, open your lips a little bit, yes, go profile completely with chin, yes. Really nice, really nice. I don't know if you're able to see the sharpness that I got. Those images, keep on doing. One thing that I have to show you also is that actually I have, on this screen, actually show me a vlog. Do you know what the vlog is, or log image is? You all know? Okay. For those of you who don't know, the vlog is actually a profile that allows me to shoot actually with a profile like this one, super soft. There's no contrast, there's no saturation. There's basically, it's really close to the raw in a way. You know, it's the closest way we can go to the raw file without shooting raw, obviously. And this will give us the best file to be able to tweak the image in post-production. So I'm going to be able to fine-tune my contrast, saturation, everything afterwards in post-production. And but the interesting thing is that, of course, I can actually trigger a button right there. Right there, you see? I can trigger, I got a button right at the tip of my finger there. And I'm calling actually a LUT. Okay, in that case, I can see something closer probably than what I'm going to be able to do in post-production. Sorry, when I'm moving, it doesn't work. So you see, on, off. And the interesting thing is that when I'm shooting those kind of images, what I'm going to do at the beginning of the day, I'm going to shoot like a few seconds of that shot, like really at the starting of the day. I'm going to shoot it, and I'm going to put the card into the computer, and I'm going to process really quickly into DaVinci Resolve probably. I'm going to make a LUT myself. So I'm going to tweak the contrast, saturation. Sometimes I'm going to bring you know, like a touch of something, magenta or anything. It depends on my mood. I'm going to bring something into the image, and then I'm going to export the VLT LUT, and I'm going to bring it back into the camera. This is actually what I'm doing now. What I'm doing now, actually, I'm using an old LUT that was into the screen, the camera, sorry. But you see that my file actually goes really vlog into this recording device. This is a recorder also, not only a screen. And I'm going to be able to actually film, I'm going to be able to see my image pretending it's already done, okay? But I'm going to record a flat image. And what's really important is when I'm working on those kind of shots in studio, I'm not alone. I've got an hairdresser and makeup artist, and they need to check the lips, the eyes, and stuff like that all the time. So what I'm going to do is actually, instead of sending my signal to them, I'm going to send it to another screen, and then the hairdresser or the team will be able to see a sort of final image. And I'm focusing into my model I'm shooting, and then they're going to be able to watch and see if everything is okay. I'm going to keep on shooting a little bit. and then I'm going to really nice. Do you see the catchlight effect on her? And as you see, on those kind of image, I'm shooting handheld because I guess you know that the Panasonic is like probably the best in image stabilization. So I'm working all the time like this, no matter what lens I'm using. Because if you go like higher with the focal length, then those focal lengths from Lumix got the internal stabilization also. So they're gonna match together. So I don't really care. Even if I'm using the 70 to 200, it's gonna be like super steady. There's no problem with this. And something really interesting also is that I can go to the menu, and you see now I'm shooting with the full sensor size. You see, I don't know if you see on the menu, full sensor size, and now I'm going to use pixel to pixel. And boom. You see pixel to pixel is actually, I'm shooting HD, okay, HD, 9020 by 1080, okay, and in that case, the pixel to pixel mode is actually recording pixel by pixel from the center of the sensor, which give you, because you may ask, yeah, okay, why don't you shoot 4K in that case? But in that case, when I'm shooting pixel to pixel HD, the image quality is mind-blowing. It's crazy, because when you're shooting 4K, full sensor, like on a full frame, for instance, they're actually doing some sort of calculation. They're not getting every single pixel. But in that mode, they do. So if you see, the interesting thing is that I'm turning my lens into a super, like, close your eyes a little bit more. No, I mean, keep it, sometimes you can keep it open, but just a little bit softer. And then I can go find those kind of image. Look at this, look at the details that I got. Your eyes love softer. This is typical. This is totally typical. When you're shooting a model, most of the time they're doing exactly this. They got their eyes really wide. Try to ask them to shrink the eyes a little bit, just a little bit. It makes a huge difference. So let's do it again. So I'm still into picture-to-picture mode, pixel-to-pixel mode. Move more, profile, go profile, come back. But always your eyes, yeah, bring it. Open your lips a little bit. Nice. I don't know if you are able to see the quality that I have into the image. It's extremely sharp. If anybody wants to try to see it from my camera, or even put your own SD card into it, come and watch from inside. It's really crazy. Don't hesitate to look at this. I'm holding the camera with my hand, and it's moving. It's not moving. Don't hesitate if you want to test with your own SD card or anything. Just go for it. Nice. Crazy, huh? And this is the pixel mode. Look at the details into your eyes. Wait, like there. You see? Thank you. You're welcome. And the interesting thing there is that actually the setup I'm using right now could also work in still images. So when I'm shooting,
resolution now?
I'm HD. But imagine
over
this.
5,000 pictures.
Sorry?
Over 5,000 points.
I don't get it.
Like a photo, it has now the resolution on video.
Sorry?
Like a photo.
Like a photo? No. I'm HD. Anybody can?
High definition.
1920
Yes.
pe 1080.
Yeah.
The high definition from TV.
Exactly. But the thing is, it's really interesting because, like most of the time when I'm shooting 4K, the image quality it's so high that I'm exporting still images from the computer, and I'm using it into my, like Instagram and stuff like that.
You cannot shoot video
No, not I mean, if you're shooting 8K, you're getting closer to a still image. But it's a good question. When I'm shooting 4K, those kind of images, I'm able to extract like image that will look like a still image. I'm using it on my website, like really, really big, and it works perfectly. And in that case, I was only shooting HD, and you see the quality. So this is pixel to pixel. But don't hesitate, honestly. If you want to put your SD card and try it and watch the result at home, go for it.
What kind of card do you have?
That the CF Express card. But that could also work with the SD in that case, because it's just HD. Just that I pick one in my bag and that's it. You see how stable it is? I'm holding the camera like this. It's super stable. You want to go? Yeah. Good, good. I'm not going to, I need to format it. I'm just.
No, it's okay.
Do you want to film it yourself or no? Okay, okay, okay. Okay. I'm going to go really, really tight on her. Yes, yes, nice, nice, nice. Okay. So what I was saying is that that kind of light will suit no matter what you do. You're welcome. No matter what you do, if you're shooting still images for your clients or video, and sometimes I have clients that changing their minds. Let's say we're changing the outfit and then changing another outfit. They say, hey, do we have this in video? But then it's super easy for me. I switch the button. I pass from still images to video. Super easy because the light is okay.
I don't know if you need to format.
No, it will make another folder basically. Yeah. So I'm gonna go to close up like that. And in that case, I'm at F2, I believe, 2-0, something like that. Chin down, chin down. Down, 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 down. Yes, 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 nice, nice. Boom. Okay. It was about time. Your card is full now. So it was right at the limit. So anybody wants to try or do something? Do you have any question about what I do?
What kind of light are you using?
Sorry?
What kind of light are you using? So
Continuous or flash?
It depends. When I have to do like a catalog or something like that, and I know that the focus is mainly still images, I'm gonna use a strobe light. And if you want to talk about brand, I'm using actually Pro Photo that I did get in 1998, and I'm still using the same pack. I got 2 packs, 4-head, 1 B tube, you know, the super strong, and those are still working perfectly. This is a big investment, but they will last forever. And when I'm shooting those kind of setup, I say that if I had to start today, I would probably go for Godox, because the quality, you know, yes, for the price, it's amazing. Otherwise, what I own and what I'm using, because as a professional, you know, I invest into it, is actually Dedolite. And this is the, you know, that brand, the one with the yellow ring. And I got the D4, I got 3D4 and 3D9, the big one. And what is really interesting also, and then we did use it at the last workshop, it was also in Romania, we did use the light stream system from Dedolite. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's really interesting because basically with the light stream, it's actually a system of little panels, okay, little panels like this. They're actually super light, and it will act like mirrors, but you have different quality of mirrors. Let's say you got 1, 2, 3, 4. The number 1 is like basically a mirror, and then the more you go, the more it's softer, okay? But it means that with one source, like sometimes I'm able to do like 4 different effects on the face with one source, because I'm sending the beam there, I'm reflecting, bing, 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 and I'm shaping the light around her with one single unit and then with those little panels. And this is, yeah, sure, sure. And the interesting things with those panels also is because sometimes it will be really, really complicated to put an HMI right there in the corner of the room. But it's super easy with the gaffer tape to put one of those mirrors over there. And so you put your light there, you're sending the beam there, and then it's done, you see? So it's super, super, you need to get used to it because, and you can Google, you can Google Dedolite light stream. There's plenty of, you know, like samples, and you're going to see it behind the scene. And it's really used into the cinema industry because once again, when they have to light up an apartment at the 7th floor, okay, instead of carrying all those HMI into the apartment, it's really easy. They put a really, really big source around it. The biggest one is super, super strong. They put it on the floor, and then they're sending that there. They actually shape the beam to be really, really parallel. And then from there, a big mirror put inside, and then into the apartment, many, many different little mirrors, number 2, number 3, number 4. And then when you see the result, it's completely crazy. You've never been able to understand how they shape the light. And this is something that I've always been passionate about. It's shaping the light. Because when I started photography, I remember at school they were asking us to measure the light in front of the model like this, you know, with the flash meter. But even since then, I was able to understand that was not the right way, because it's a three-dimensional object that you're shooting actually. It's not flat. So you need to understand also the power of the light that comes behind and on the side and everything. So yeah, the three-dimensional vision of light is always been for me really, really crucial. And those kind of light stream panels is really, really a system that will help you to elaborate complicated light from one or two sources actually. So I'm going to record some stuff for the gentleman there. It's recording. Okay. And one thing I really also like with this, here it is.
At what aperture?
Sorry?
At what aperture?
In that case, I was f2. As I said, yeah, I remembered I was f2. And obviously, I would not be able to use f2 in that case without the ND filters. And once again, the reason why I use it is because I wanted to kill all the ambient light. And what is really interesting into the GH6, and we are many to love that camera because of that, is actually that it's able to shoot 4K 120p. So it means that you're going to get a huge picture, 4K image, with 100 single frame. And this is really interesting because it's actually not into those Lumix cameras. Most of the time when we wanted to shoot slow motion, we were stepping into a mode that is called variable frame rate. And into the variable frame rate, you could go like up to 300 frames per second in that case. But then you're going to see your playback in slow-mo. So you shoot it, you push play, and you're going to see your slow motion right away. In the case of the 4K 120, is actually not variable frame rate. It's actually what we call high frame rate. So it's actually high frame rate. I don't know if you remember one of the movie from the saga Lord of the Ring. They did something completely wrong. They did shoot one of the episodes, I don't remember which one. They shoot it at 48 frames per second, and actually they were projecting it at 48 frames per second. Okay, you understand the difference? Most of the time they're shooting 24p and they're projecting 24p. But in that case, they want to try high frame rate, and so they shoot it 48 image and they project it 48. And when I wanted to see it on the white screen, and I went there, and I was like, wow, that looks completely crap. You know, that was looking like you know, like they were like you know, the theater, like the marionette, like that. You know, they were super cheap. And actually, I did read all the critics about the movie, and they said, okay, they were completely wrong to actually step into this, the 48 frames per second. There was no motion blur. You know, motion blur, when I'm moving my arm, it's not sharp anymore for your vision, your human vision. So you have to respect those kind of rules, or if you're not respecting them, you have to know why you're not stepping into those rules. And the rule is actually that we are doubling the frame rate to get the shutter speed, which means that when you are shooting, let's say 25p, 25 frames per second, you're going to shoot 1/50 of a second. Okay, this is the rule. And they went to 100 of a second. So there was no blur, no motion blur anymore. And all the critics were saying, okay, that was completely wrong. They should not have done that. The film is ugly like this. But this is also really interesting to talk about it and think about it, because now we have an entire generation right now who are actually playing video games, and those video games are also using cinematic images, and they're actually projecting 60 or 100 or maybe 120. I don't know. I'm not a gamer, but I know. Sorry? 144. Right, you see, 144. So it means that generation, those kids, maybe would like something else when they're going to see the movie, like within 10 years, because we always have been seeing movies with a certain like motion blur. We are used to it, and our brain can identify a cinematic image because of this, the motion blur. But the entire generation who are actually gaming like this with image like that, probably they're going to they're going to dislike our way of seeing video. And so it's interesting that this camera is actually able to shoot 120p, and then it's going to actually play back 120p. Okay, but it's big for us, because then from there we can actually take the file, put it into the software, and then we can get our slow motion like crazy quality, like really crazy. You have to test it. We are not into the right setup to use those kind of stuff, but 4K 120 image on this camera is really big. And they released a firmware on the GH6 recently, like maybe a week ago, that now we are also able to shoot and record on the SD, on SDR drive. And this is really convenient if you are, like, I don't know, shooting weddings or, you know, an entire day of shoot. It's really convenient, because then you go home and you put it on your computer, and it's super easy. You don't need CF Express or something like that anymore.
Have you ever played with angle of shooting?
Sorry?
Have you ever played
With the RAW?
angle of shooting? For example, you are a photographer. You control the time, the aperture, and the sensibility of
Yes.
the film.
Yes.
If you are a video photographer, a classic cameraman, you control with
Rolling
around
Yes.
the angle of shooting.
Exactly. That's what we call the. So I talk about the 180-degree shutter rule, but you could completely step into the 90 or 45. If you see the movie Mad Max, okay, Mad Max, the Fury Road, you know, at the beginning when it's like running into the, you know, like those rocks, it's really like that. Sometimes they went up to 12, the angle of 12, so there's no motion blur anymore. And if you remember Kingsman, I don't know if you remember Kingsman, the number one, at a certain point they were fighting, and they were fighting, complete fight, and many 100 people fighting, and you can pause at every single frame, it's sharp. There's no motion blur at all. And the reason why they did is actually because there was so much information that if they were keeping the rule of, you know, like shooting 24p and using a frame rate, a shutter speed of 150, it would be completely blurred, and nobody, the brain, would not be able to understand. And the very first historic way of using those kind of tricks, let's say, was actually, and now it's also told into the cinema school. It's the Saving Private Ryan. You know the movie with the, don't remember the name? So, no, but the main character is the Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks. Okay, Saving Private Ryan. I remember I was at that time working in Paris. I didn't knew much about movies, technical movies at that time. But I remember that when I watched the movie, and it starts actually by you know, all the Americans on the Omaha beach, and the German soldiers are on the top of the rock, and they're shooting at them, and they like stepping out of the water, and it's a carnage total. You know, it's pretty dramatic. And I remember that when I watched this on a big screen, I was like, remember it was in 1998, okay? It's 1998. Now we're used to those kind of violence and effects like that. But in 1998, when I was looking at this, I was feeling really uncomfortable, to be honest. And then after the movie keep on, and that's it. But when I went out of the movie, I was like, wow, that scene at the beginning was, wow, because there was body exploding and arm crossing the screen like that. And then I understood actually that Steven Spielberg, who is a genius, said, okay, the thing is that he wanted us in the comfort of our, you know, like seat in the cinema to be like trying to make us at the most possible and comfortable regarding this event, the historical event of people like being like destroyed on the beach like that. So he wanted us to have the feeling, like feeling really weird and you know, like, and the way to doing it was actually to completely dim down the motion blur. So he used a 90 or 45 degree shutter angle, so normal motion blur, and when a soldier explodes on a mine and that you have the arm crossing the screen, your brain and your eyes was able to see it. And it lasts for, I don't remember, many minutes. This scene on the beach was long, really long. You remember? 15 minutes, you see? Imagine this. So 15 minutes like this. Steven Spielberg wanted us to feel really, really sick of seeing the horror of the war. And this is really brilliant from a director like this. And then the minute after, he went back to the 180 degree shutter rule. We call it this way. So shutter speed 150. So the motion blur was back again. But all the scene like this, he shot it with a different shutter angle. So it's really important to understand this. And once again, if we have to focus on those kind of cameras, you are able to actually set your shutter speed, not in shutter speed, but in shutter angle. And this is crucial because then you can decide, okay, I'm gonna step into the 180 degree shutter rule, which is the classic, let's say, classic cinematography. And no matter what frame rate you're gonna choose, you can choose 24, 25, 50, 60, no matter which frame rate you're gonna choose into the menu, it will adapt the speed for you. And this is really convenient because then you can pass from one resolution to the other and you're going to be always respecting this motion blur. Or the other way around. You can say, okay, I don't want any motion blur. Like, unfortunately, we didn't have time to show you many more of my movies. You didn't show anything, but go to my YouTube channel, you're going to see. The other day I was shooting boxers, and in that case, I didn't want any motion blur. So I went really, really high with the speed. I went up to 200th of a second. And there was no motion blur. They were super fast, and I did shot it in slow motion. So it's beautiful because they are in slow motion, but they were acting super fast. And if I was shooting 180 degree shutter rule, it would be a slow motion of blurred image. And I wanted everything to be slow motion, but sharp. Then you need to handle the technique really well. And, you know, using the software like this and asking your camera to go like 90 degree or 45, it's super, super convenient. That's it.
Întrebări? So I searched on the internet and I've seen that GH6 is called Codec Monster.
Codec Monster, yes. The thing
Why?
is that it's called Codec, but maybe they call it Codec Monster because actually since the GH4, those Lumix lineup camera are oriented to cinematography and video. So it means that, especially in those kind of camera, the GH6 or let's say the S1H, it's full of codec. You can shoot long GOP, which is group of pictures, but you can also shoot all intra. I don't know if you know the difference in between long GOP and all intra, but you can also shoot long GOP, all intra, and you can also shoot ProRes. You can also shoot ProRes straight into the camera. Straight into the camera. So it means that actually difference.
So you don't need this one.
No, I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm using it because it's convenient. Because once again, it's a SSD. Yeah, of course. Of course, I can do anything on the SD card. The thing is, for those of you who don't know the difference in between long GOP, let's say, and the all intra or ProRes, is actually that shooting those kind of format all intra and ProRes, which means that any single frame that you're going to capture will be a key image. Instead of shooting long GOP, the GOP means GOP, means group of pictures. It means that the codec will actually shoot a key image at the beginning, a key image at the end, and in between, the codec will do the magic. It means that if nothing is happening in the corner, it's blank background like this, there's no need to calculate every single pixel because the codec will know nothing happen there. Okay, this is really important to understand because in many cases, long GOP will do like magic. It's beautiful, but the thing is that it's codec, and the codec means compression, decompression. So it means that you need to have the codec that will compress into the camera, and you need to have the same codec on your computer, which will be decompressing. So it means that compressing, decompressing on the computer. So it means that your footage will have to be decompressed. It means that in some cases, if you don't have a strong, powerful computer, it will be really a pain. Yes, because you're not going to be able to skim into the timeline, choppy like this, because it's long GOP. So if you have not a super strong CPU, in that case it's the CPU of the computer, not that much the GPU. The CPU, if the CPU is not super strong, I advise you to shoot all intra. All intra means that every single picture, all eye, all intra, all eye, it means that every single picture is a keyframe. So you can cut into the timeline no matter where, it's going to be in between two keyframes. So it doesn't have to, the codec will not have to recalculate everything all the time. And the Apple ProRes is exactly this. Like when I started at the beginning, all intra wasn't available. We had to shoot long GOP on the very first model, okay? And in that case, the first thing we were doing is we getting all the files and we were putting it into software to convert the long GOP into an Apple ProRes. And then the Apple ProRes was using to do the edit. And then we were able to edit really smoothly. So now with those kind of beasts, because it's true, it's a real beast in terms of video, you can choose the flavor based on what you're shooting. So remember what I said with the long GOP, it will say, okay, on the corner of the image, nothing is happening. So I don't have to process that much. But when you're going to shoot some really specific subject, imagine you're shooting a scene with fires. Fire, or I don't know, like wind with the tree and the leaves like this moving all the time. So any or water splashes, any subject that have a lot of information to the image. Using long GOP could be really challenging for the codec, obviously, because in every single frame there's something moving everywhere. So how can it deal with one keyframe, and all the codec work in between? But even so, I did actually, once again, I did post this on my YouTube channel. I did post a friend of mine who was smoking, and I was like really tight on him, and I was shooting him with the smoke getting out of his mouth. And smoke, once again, is really challenging for the codec because there's so many things happening into every single frame, and it was doing really well. So I would say that honestly, in terms of image quality, you're not going to see that much of a difference for regular subject. You're not going to see that much of difference. You're going to see the big difference with your into your computer when you're going to be editing.
So This camera is amazing for video.
That is
Tell
for
us-
sure.
Yeah, tell us about photo.
That's an interesting question because last summer actually I was on a cruise for a client, 12 days on a ship, doing some lifestyle image, and I had this one, the GH6 Foto-video. I did bring in my backpack Foto-video, and I had also the S1R for the still images. Okay, but the S1R is big, the lens are big, it's a full frame and everything. So one day I was on the ship shooting the model, and I was shooting video, and as I said like before, I just need to turn a button to shoot some still images. So I'd never used this camera before for still images. I was just focusing into video because it's a beast in video. And so that day, for convenience, I didn't want to go back to the cabin and bring back the other camera. So okay, let's try to shoot some still images. Honestly, I was amazed by the image quality. Amazed. It's crazy. So I finished actually the 12 days using the GH6, once again for convenience, because we went all the way in Greece, we did all the islands and the monastery, and so there was a lot of walking and climbing and stuff like that, so it was so easy for me to carry this GH6 that was able to shoot video and still image. So honestly, to be completely honest, I never considered the GH6 to be a still image camera, but now I'm using it also for still image.
What do we find in your backpack?
Another lens. Well, this is the little brother. This is the 10-25, same lens quality. Also aperture 1.7, which is completely crazy. This is really great.
So you have only two lenses with you?
Yeah. Well, actually, I got this my first love.
When you go on shooting,
I will go
only
like
three.
this. Yes, like this.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And this is my first love. I did use it a lot with the GH5. It's the 42 Nocticron. This is a crazy lens. Aperture 1.2. So 42 in micro four thirds, which means it's 80 millimeter in full frame. So this is the 80 millimeter for a micro four third. Aperture 1.2. It's extremely sharp. But as I said, the 10 to 25, and this one is 25 to 50. I can cover any subject because of the lens quality, and also the thing is that if you see the iris, there's no block, so it's really good for video because if I'm using the aperture, there's no tick 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 tick, there's no third of stop. I can sometimes decide to move a little bit like this, and it's not gonna affect that much because I don't have to step from tack 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 tack. It's really smooth, and both of them are like this.
Întrebări?
Hello, I was curious before the event started. You said something, you had a little small talk with the model. What did you say to her?
It's interesting.
Gave her some
Yeah, actually,
Advice.
actually, I showed her something that I did in the past, really similar. But this is really interesting question actually, because I was about to saying it right after I end up with her that normally it's not really fair for her right now because there's many people. I don't have time to show her the result really quickly and to coach her. But it's really interesting question because the way you're dealing with the model, the way you drive the model is absolutely crucial in those kind of setup. And now it's not the right place and the right moment to be able to work with her. But if I have to spend, normally I will spend an entire half day with her shooting beauty shots like this, an half day. And within the 45 first minutes, she will completely understand what I mean and what I need and everything. That's for sure.
I just noticed the eye movement, the lips movement, the head movements. I mean, these were your directions, right?
Yes?
You told her to do this.
Yes, exactly.
So why? This is
It's really hard to. First of all, that comes with the practice, with the experience. You know what I said really quick.
What is your thought process here? Why do you direct her like this? What do you mean to get?
Well, the thing is that I don't want her to look fake. That's it. You know, I don't want to look. I'm super tight on her like this. So you are able to see any emotion. And sometimes the first thing when you put a model like this in front of her, okay, it's like if she were taking the bus. You know, she's like, okay, right? Then you have to make her step into something, you know, and it's a work of being also professional from both sides, and I'm sure that she will understand really easily. But now the way we're working doesn't give us both the way to doing properly. But I tried to make her understand it, and she understood really easy. So we have to bring some emotion, you know, stepping from this, okay, we go, okay, let's go. But then when she steps into the light, she has to step into something else. And because I'm tight on her like this, I'm trying to find some emotion and ask her to do some really soft movement and to close her eyes a little bit, sometimes completely, sometimes just a little bit. This is the really basic. The eyes are really basic. You like for instance, something really common. You have your model in front of you. You say, okay, smile. She's going to smile. Fake. The smile that works, it's not the lips. It's actually here. Exactly. You have to. Is I smiling like this? Then I'm smiling. Is I smiling like this? I'm not smiling. You know, this is something. But the eyes is really crucial. And many models, it's certainly at the beginning of the session, they're gonna be like too wide, because it's the brain. You know, they need to feel relaxed and not stressed. And at the beginning, you're stressed, no matter what. You can't step into it right away. So it's okay. Most of the time, I'm not gonna say anything at the beginning. I'm gonna drive them. And first, something crucial, I would play music. I'm going to play music, and I remember one shoot, and once again, it's on my YouTube channel. I was working with a professional. She was really experienced. She was absolutely beautiful, and she was really blonde, really Scandinavian type. And I was focusing on a story. Most of the time, you have to step into a story. When you come in the studio, I had a clear story in mind. And that time I was, because I'm a big fan of Ingmar Bergman, you know, and he was a Scandinavian director, shooting Scandinavian girl, obviously, he was there. And he was able to capture the beauty, even when I remember Silence, the movie Silence. The woman into the movie was struggling with alcohol, you know, and depression in that movie. And I remember a shot. She's in her bed, the head in between the bars of the bed, and she's completely desperate, crying. And still, she was absolutely beautiful. That shot could be an advertising for something, you know. She was beautiful. And this is the magic of Ingmar Bergman. He was respecting the women a lot. He was loving them. And even when that shot, completely desperate woman, she was still absolutely beautiful. And so I told her, the girl, that day. And the thing is that the night before, I did spend at least 2 hours on Spotify making my playlist. I was doing my playlist. When she came, I was playing already that music, you know. I remember some stuff from the movie. That there was one track like completely depressing from the movie with the space and everything. You remember Interstellar? You remember the movie? The music is really deep like this, huh? And I was playing the same track again and again. And I said, okay. And I told her that. Imagine you are an artist. You're about to step into the scene for doing your act. But somebody bring you a terrible notice. Okay? So I want to capture this exact moment. And I swear to God, you can watch it on the Panasonic France YouTube channel. You can see, because there was actually that day, by coincidence, there was a team shooting me at work. And at a certain point, the girl cried, actually. She cried because she went so deep into the topic.
I saw that today.
Really?
And it really convinced me to come here, because I'm actually a fan ambassador.
Ah, okay.
But I just loved what I saw and the way.
So you saw that one?
Yeah, I saw
Okay.
it today.
Okay. So and you see that it's a sort of a trick. I just helped her with the music and the mood. There was sometimes it's really laid back in studio, really funny, and we're playing, and it's okay when we're shooting fashion or advertising. But that day I wanted really deep, and I helped her that way, like with the music. When the moment she came in the studio, there was already dark like that, and she wanted to. And the funny thing, I don't know why. Maybe it's something happened with her, but she texted me the day before, and this is the most beautiful shot I did ever. That's what she texted me. And I was, okay, bon, that's it. But you know, you had to really be, to tune with the model and first of all to explain the way you go, the direction.
Yeah, because I saw you talking with her only for 1 minute maximum.
Yeah,
and then I saw her like the perfect movement of the face, of the eyes, of the lips, and you only talked with her for 2 minutes, so you must have said something very clear to her.
Honestly, I understood, yeah. But this is practice. Honestly, this is practice, and this is again something that I did learn with Mondino. To be honest.
If she would stay like this, if the photograph didn't speak with her.
Obviously, she needs direction, so I think that.
Of course.
You are working mainly with professional models, right?
Yes, most of the time. But the other day I did, and especially when I'm doing master classes like that, you know, I never know, and I don't know the model, I don't know the experience, and it's okay. It's really a question of practice. And to be honest, I've been learning so much with Mondino. Mondino is a magician, completely. He's working with the best team. He's got the best in the world, the best makeup artists in the world, the best makeup artists in the world, the best models in the world. That was the best. You know, we were shooting with the best. But still, he could get somebody in the street and do an amazing image. And honestly, with the assistant, we were two. And at that time, we were shooting at, you know, like film. There was no digital at that time. So we were shooting Polaroids. We had Polaroids, you know, like from the Pentax 6x7. We were shooting Polaroid. Sometimes, I swear to God, I was looking at the Polaroid to say, damn, that's crazy. This is the final picture. This is the final picture. There's nothing to do. Nothing. That's crazy. This is how far he was going. So in terms of direction, with the model, I've learned so much with him. But the story I told you with the Mila Jovovich, this is completely crazy. And after, actually, he went far from what I said. He was not only naked in front of her. He did actually bring all the pack in between his legs. So actually, he was naked, but with no sex. So that is completely crazy. And she was laughing, she was laughing, she was laughing. But the genius, he said, okay, I showed her my balls. She can't refuse anything to me this afternoon. That's it. That was done. The picture was done. And the thing is, the picture was after the lunch. So he could feel the pressure and eat some pasta, but being disturbed with the stomach because there was so much pressure. Because when we saw her coming in the morning, we knew that she was not in good shape. She was probably like exhausted because she was like just finishing the movie and everything. So he said, okay, that will be tough. So when he came to us, he said, okay, put a stand. So we put a stand. I got Polaroids of myself with a stand, and it was really like this on the frame. So with him, I did learn a lot of those kind of things, and it's super, super interesting.
Do you edit your pictures?
Of course.
You don't have anyone that...
Well, for the video that I did for Prima Donna, for instance, with the Red Dragon, it was like huge raw files, you know, like tons of files and footage. In that case, they were hiring a company, and we were shooting with, editing with the Da Vinci board like this, super expensive and fancy and everything. In that case, they do, but I'm there to direct them, always, the editing, the color grading. Otherwise, I'm doing everything myself because I want to be like, I have some vision in my head and I want to match my vision. So I'm doing everything myself, yeah. It's super easy to do, huh?
Întrebări?
The lenses you have on the camera, it's fixed or with a zoom one?
Those are both zoom, actually.
Zoom?
Those are zoom, yeah. But it's zoom, but prime lens quality, let's say. It's like a prime lens quality.
It's expensive, no?
It's well, not that much. I don't know.
Că nu înțelegem în engleză așa bine. Să ne citești de pe cameră ce obiectiv este.
Este 10, un 10-25 and 25-50.
25-50? La ce apertură?
Nu.
1.7.
1.7, cred, nu mai știu.
Dar nu e full frame.
No, it's a micro four third.
But with zoom.
Exactly. Let's say.
To zoom,
So, do you love this lens with zoom or stills like this?
Well, this is an
42,
yeah.
45.
Yes, this is a crazy lens for beauty shots. But honestly, the like 4x4 lens will be something like this. It's a zoom. It's a really convenient. But what I said when I meet like beginners,
They
okay?
are not heavy.
No, they're super light. They're super light. Yeah, yeah. This one is heavier.
Yeah.
So the advice I would give to somebody who's starting actually using a lens like this, I would suggest them to put duct tape into the lens and say, okay, I'm going to shoot at 50 millimeters for an hour. And then I'm going to change the focal length to 35 and so on. So I will advise them to put a duct tape into the zoom lens to use it as a prime lens, as many prime lenses. Why? Because when you're starting, when you don't know much about what you're doing, most of the time you're going to be like standing there, zooming, zoom out, for the convenience of not stepping in, stepping back. But this is not good. This is not good because
You're not creative.
no, it's not a question of creativity. It's just a question of optic. Because I could shoot a portrait of you 50 millimeter or 120. It will not look the same at all.
Can you show us?
Yeah, of course. But are you going to be able to see? Not sure.
Not everyone.
No, it's not going to be. It's not going to be. You see, let's say I'm going to go. You see, her face is more rounded like this, but still, it could be interesting. You see the difference? Or I step back, and I'm shooting like this. Do you see? In one case, she's more rounded, and in the other one, she's more flat. So the more you go up with the focal length, the more you make everything really flat. It's totally okay, but you have to understand this. So for a beginner, I will suggest them to lock the zoom lens and use it as many prime lens. So they're going to be able to say, okay, I'm going to use 35, now 35, and then they're going to work around using a 35 mil. Otherwise, they're going to change to 50 or 100, no matter what. But they're going to start to understand when they're going to look at the image into Lightroom. They're going to be able to see the subtlety, you know, the difference in between. That it's really subtle sometimes.
Why didn't you go with prime lenses?
Sorry?
Why didn't you go with prime lenses if you have this thought process?
I do. I got many prime lenses. I got them all actually. But when I'm working like this summer, when I was with my backpack, this is super convenient. It's 1.7, and I know what I'm doing. So I know when I want to make the image really flat, or when I want to shoot something for really close and get the perspective. You know, once again, Mondino was shooting all the advertising, you know, all the time. We were shooting, like, imagine the image with the Or J'adore, you know, the women with the swimming pool with the gold everywhere. I was the one who was actually putting water into that tub. So we were there, and we had actually gold into the equipment for weeks after the shooting, okay? And like 95% of the work of Mondino, I was with him for 3 years and we did so many campaigns, like 95% of his production was with the 6x7, the Pentax 6x7, using the 90 millimeter, the 90. 90 is the 50 on a full frame, the 50. So he was doing all the huge campaign that we were seeing worldwide with a 50 millimeter. That's it. So it means that with the 50, when he was going to the girl like this, just slightly, the neck was a little bit longer, like the shoulders were a little bit larger, because it was exaggerating the proportion all the time, just a little bit. You can't really tell, actually. But when you go super close with the 50, it's not exactly, you know, it's just a little bit stretching the proportion. This is the magic. 50 with a full frame, yeah. So he was shooting everything with the 90, everything. We had the fly case with all the lenses available, everything, but everything with the 90, everything. So 50 millimeters basically. Sorry?
What is your favorite focal length?
That's a tough question. I can't really tell, honestly. Yeah, it really depends. I can't really tell. But
Like for this type of shot.
then I did magic with this one, the 42, which is the 80. This is the 80, and I did like amazing shot with this one, amazing. So I love it, and also the sharpness, because even at 1.2, you're gonna be able to count every air into the eyes and everything. So yeah, this one I love it.
So when you shoot portraits, would you use this one?
Not all the time.
85?
Not all the time. No.
Because all the photographers use 85 for portraits.
Once,
Like the sweet spot for compression.
yeah, that. For me, the 80 millimeter or 85 or 80, it's really classical in a way. It's really classical. It's really classical. It's clean. It will do the trick, but there's not that piece of madness. And shooting a portrait with a 50, and I noticed it with Mondino actually, and I noticed it looking at the Polaroid. I say, wow, it's beautiful, and the magic also comes from there. He's using a 50, and the 50 is actually stretching a little bit. When he was shooting like the models, like super long legs, when he was going down like this, he was looking even taller a little bit, like maybe 10%. But this gives some sort of magic. So the 80 or 85, it's really classical in a way that's really academic. You know, it's clean. This is a proportion. It's really nice. There's no change into the body. So it's really good because somebody comes to you to do a portrait. You want to look the way you look. But when I go like super close to her with a wide lens, then she's gonna look like completely disturbed. Like when I'm using Skype, you know, I'm sometimes using Skype with my iPhone. I look like a balloon like this, completely rounded. I say, hey, no, I'm not looking like that. Huh? This is the wide lens effect. So the 50 is a little bit still already changing the proportion a little bit. So 85, to answer your question, 85 it's fantastic lens, like I'm using it a lot, but it's really classical and that's it. It's really the way you look. Exactly. But to still be able to do amazing shot with it, huh? It's not, but it's the way it looks and that's it. No really magic.
So I'm at the beginning. I'm new in photography. What kind of advice would you give me?
There's many.
No, for portraits.
For portrait?
Yeah.
Light. First of all, light. To master the light. That's the thing is that when I started photography, I had no money at all. I was at school and I didn't have a camera. I remember I was at the Academy of Photography. We had 3 years ahead of us and I didn't have anything. Not a stand, not even a camera. I didn't have a camera. So when we had exercise to do for the teacher, they said, okay, next week I want to see this from you. Okay, so I was going to do, hey, can I borrow your camera tomorrow? I was doing like this. I had good friends. I said, hey, you can get it. So sometimes I'm shooting Canon, sometimes Nikon. How does it work? I was learning all the time because I didn't have. And the first thing when I spend money, the first thing I did get is actually a flash meter, the Minolta Flash Meter 5. So I wanted to understand the light. This is my main focus, and I still own this flash meter. Actually, that doesn't exist anymore. The Minolta doesn't exist. It's Seconic, but I still own this one. And the second thing I did get actually, because of my lecture of light, was actually a stand. So no camera still. Huh? I had the flash meter, then a stand, and then after the camera, for my anniversary or something like that, if I remember well. From my mother, she didn't trust. She said, "You have photography, come on." She was like that. And then
Give me a break.
Yeah, completely. When I went to Paris, she said, "Well, you're crazy. Nobody is expecting you there. You're crazy. But yeah, when you believe in something and you go for it. Yeah.
Okay, întrebări?
What kind of ND filter? You said that you were using one variable ND filter.
Sorry?
What form is the ND filter?
This Nisi. This is an interesting topic because if you
use
I'm sorry?
ND? Why did you use?
I explained it 3 times at least.
I remember, kill the lights.
To kill the ambient light. So I put this one really strong enough to actually have to dim it down, but dimming the exposure down based on this one kills completely the other one. That's the point. And the question about the Nisi, there's many brands. what I would tell you is don't step into those BS, completely marketing BS, and get the Peter McKinnon edition. And this is completely bullshit. You're going to spend $100 for him, actually, but that's it. But what is important is get a good one, because it's something, as you see, that you put in front of your lens. So don't spend good money into the lens if you put a crappy filter in front of it. But what is really important with the variable filter is this. You have to see, to have the, I don't know what you say in English, but the block, you know, because if you pass over, and some filters, exactly, if you can pass under or over, then you're going to have a distortion into the image, like a cross in front of in the middle of the image, and there's no way to fix it. There's no way to fix it. And it happened to me once when I was in Italy under a super bright sun, and I had another version of filters, and I wasn't controlling it well like this, and so I passed over, and then because of the brightness of the sun, I was reading the image okay on the screen of it, it's okay, and I was going on, and when I went back to the computer, I was seeing this black cross in front of it. So yeah, never again. So you have to go for, this is the Nissi. They're making filters basically. They don't do anything else. I believe also for the cinema industry. So they're really good brand. This one will cost 200 euros, something like that. The Peter McKinnon, it will be 300. Okay, but you got the fancy name on it.
So about these ND filters, what do you think about the more convenient, let's say modern but not so modern solutions as placing the ND filter between the lens and the camera? Also,
that would be fantastic. That would be optimal.
Also in larger cinema cameras like Sony FX9.
Yeah, they got built-in. They got built-in. Yeah, they got built-in ND filter. Yeah.
Using electronic ND filters.
I don't know. Honestly, electronics.
Even one has.
No, Eva, it's physical, huh?
It's physical.
Yeah, it's physical because I own when you switch into something is moving physically into it. I would not step into. I would not trust too much like the digital one. Maybe they nailed the technique. I don't know.
It does sound like messing with the gain.
But then, you know, you're messing with the gain on one side, the other one, you know, because like all the sensor got the native ISO. There's one, it's 400, 800, it depends. So, but it's one ISO, and then anything between under is actually retaining gain or pushing the gain. So if you're messing around with sometimes for the ISO, sometimes for the ND filter, I wouldn't trust that honestly. But it could work, huh?
We have an adapter coming up soon to adapt full frame lenses from the S lineup
Yeah.
to the Micro Four Thirds with a built-in ND filter.
That would be fantastic. I would love to. Yeah, because then you don't have.
Speak to Panasonic.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're going to come with it one day. The only the other advice I would suggest to somebody who want to buy an ND filter is try to get a bigger one. So then it will match all the other lenses. If you see, like for instance, this lens actually. It's a coincidence. I still got this adapter, you know, because I've been using this filter on this one. I got two of those, the 77 and 82. Okay, but then you're ready for any other. This is super cheap. You can buy, you know, a full pack of those rings, and it's super cheap. It means like the. Yeah, exactly. The thing is that the bigger one will also work with the little one. If you go for a 54, and then after you spend the money for another lens which is bigger, then you say, oh damn, I need to buy another filter. But so invest into a good one and a big one, and then those cheap adapter. That's it.
Aveți întrebări?
More for the ND, what is the range, the number, and the...
Five. In that case, it's 5 stop. 5 stop. Yeah. There's 5 stop, and there's more obviously if you like to go like completely crazy, like if you want to shoot the sun. But in that case, the more convenient for video is 5 stop. It's completely okay. Yeah.
And the minimum and the maximum is?
Well, I believe that it's 1 stop when it's at the minimum, and 5 stop when it's at the maximum. So when you put it straight, you're going to see 1 stop down, which is one stop it's nothing, and you can push you know, the ISO if you want. But if you put your ND filter, it means that there's too much light anyway. So probably if you're using your ND filter, it means that you're going to go at least up to 2 or 2.5 or 3 stops down. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Do you have a food secret? Like, for example, being a vegetarian to keep your energy to the work?
This is really interesting. What, you know,
Because if you don't have energy, you cannot work better.
that's interesting, but I would not focus that much into energy, but if I had to go back in time, I would care about my back. And now I care about my back, now, big time. But I remember, once again, my experience in Paris when I was full of energy and I was like adrenaline, like full of adrenaline all the time. I remember that they were saying, okay, when you had to put an HMI, so it was, I don't know, 5,000 watts or even 10,000 watts, they were teaching us, okay, put the HMI there, put the wind up, the big Manfrotto wind up, you put it down, you put it there, and then you raise it up like this. And we were never doing this. The stand was there, we take it there, and put it there, that's it. And then, like years after, I was feeling really, really bad for my back. And now, like since maybe 2-3 years, I'm doing a lot of sports because I was always blocked. Like I remember I did spend an entire week in London for work, and I was like that, like really, I had to be there for work, but I was like that, like if I had like 100 years. And say I went to the doctor and said, yeah, but so basically I understood that the only thing I was doing with him was exercise. So, but I don't need to get an appointment and pay that guy for doing exercise. I'm going to go to the gym. And since when I go to the gym, I don't have any trouble with the back. But if I have to give an advice to somebody who wants to go on with photography, you have to take care of your back and abdominals and stuff like that. Yeah, honestly. That may sound ridiculous, but it's, if you want to do a living of this is super, like at the end of the day, you know, you carry like this, it's you know. So the energy will come.
Mai aveți întrebări? Gata? Asta e tot?
Because in our history, some people even now remember us. I watch on Islamic teachings about Dracula, and he said if another Dracula is coming, the Islam should reunite it to take it out.
Okay.
Teacher Mac from Kenya to Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
So they remember us. And the best model, they say, are from this part of the world. If you know Peter Hegre, erotic photographer,
Okay.
he married a girl from Ukraine.
Okay.
Cuba.
Okay.
You can Google.
Okay.
Emila Djokovic, from this part of the world.
True.
She was a good actress and
Yes.
good selling movie.
Yes. And she's really sweet, actually. She's super sweet. Really sweet.
Serbia.
I can't really say.
Former Yugoslavia.
I don't know. Maybe she's Serbian. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But she's super friendly.
From former Yugoslavia.
Okay. And somebody who I wasn't expecting to be so friendly is actually Kate Moss. We've been working with Kate Moss for an entire week for Kate Moss. Yes, she's from the UK, that's for sure. But she was a superstar. She still is. But at that time, she was a superstar, and she was so friendly. Completely crazy, but really friendly. She was at the evening. She was dancing on tables and stuff like that when we were at the restaurant. But she was super crazy, super sweet.
And biggest plane from this part of Europe.
Sorry?
Biggest plane from world. Antonov, biggest carrier.
Okay, I don't know.
Ukraine.
Okay.
Biggest planes.
Yeah, planes. Yeah. Okay.
One last question from my side. How many lights do you usually use for still photography?
Lights?
For still?
Yeah.
This will be a nice base. So one main light, a catch light, which is like today I did use this for convenience, but most of the time I will use a beauty dish right there with a grid on it and a touch of spoon. I don't know the spoon, you know, the white diff. I put that there. So I'm going to use a main light that could be an umbrella, and then the beauty dish under, or a strip light like this one. The strip light like this. And then something affecting my background. Yes, most of the times. But sometimes I want get a little bit crazy with the light and bringing some you know, like effect and shadows and stuff like that. Then in that case I can go up to 5 or something like that.
There's time for one more question. I'm curious, why did you choose fashion photography, and is this the only genre of photography? Anything else?
That's really good question also. The thing is that I wanted to shoot people. I wanted to shoot people in front of me, and the thing is that I met one of my the best friend of my brother was actually a model, and once I was at his place, and at that time I was super young. I was 16, you know, and he was like going to LA, New York, and stuff like that, and I was saying, wow, you got a crazy life, you know. And once I was there, and he showed me Polaroid. There was Polaroid on his wall like this, and he said, wow, this image is beautiful, that's gorgeous. They say, who did this? And he said the name of the photographer. And say, wow, and he's making money for that? And say, yeah, a lot of money. Say, then I want to do that, and that's it. See, if I was able to make money and you know, have my, you know, like business around the idea of shooting people, that I wanted to shoot people, then why not? You know, that was the shortcut. And the industry in fashion is the perfect match, you know, to shoot people. And you know, honestly, this is I'm saying this to every beginners that I'm meeting. To say, like, within 20 years of practice, you know, as a professional, I only had maybe 10 times, honestly, 10 times the feeling that I was working. 10 times. When I was shooting more advertising, because fashion is one thing, advertising is another one. Advertising, you got the client over your shoulder, you got an entire team, the creative director, the artistic director, the copywriter, and all that mess. And then they bring you a storyboard, you know, it has to be like this, it has to be like that. And then sometimes, maybe 10 times, I had the feeling to be working. Otherwise, never, honestly. And then once I was doing so much with Levi's that I did get a huge old place, and I did my studio into it. And so actually my own place was right behind the door. Sometimes I was in the shower like this when my assistant were coming already, setting up the light, and I was still eating my toes like this, and then stepping into the studio, and then music and everything. And I didn't have the feeling to work, to be working, to be honest. So in that case, I was remembering my mother saying, "Hey, you crazy!" No. So yeah, but honestly, I have two little kids. One is 2, the girl, and the other is 4. And I would do anything I can to make them understand that no matter what they want to do, they have to stick with it, and it's possible. Even our teacher at school were telling us, photography, forget about it. Or even the teacher. But it's true. When I see all the people that were at school with me, I'm probably the only one who's making a living of photography. But it's not because I'm a genius, honestly, because I wanted to stick with it. And the thing is, I was spending hours looking at images. And some, you know, I also like selling a lot of courses online on a French platform. Like I'm selling a lot of tutorials, okay? This is also a kind of business in a way. And I never did that much money than during the COVID. During COVID was like, ping, jackpot, complete jackpot. Honestly, this is the case. And all my friends, photographers, they were struggling. You know, no shooting at all, nothing. And I was, yeah, it's coming like this. Thanks to the universe, you know. It was like that.
A long time ago, the tutorial thing on YouTube, selling the
No. The tutorial on YouTube, it's like that. I mean, I'm doing it for fun. But then I got if you go to tutor.com, it's French. It's the biggest French platform for tutorials like this. And it's actually the place where I did actually learn editing video. I went there and I did get courses there. I did pay to learn the editing, okay? And I remember that once when I was actually buying a tutorial to learn about editing, I remember that I did spot a class about photography, and I did watch it. This is so bad, you know. I was like laughing, like, come on, you know. And after, I remember that once, a month after, I went back. I was He did sell 600 of this class within a month. He said, you know, the dumbass is me, it's not him. And so from there, I decided, okay, I'm gonna do some stuff because I was not booked every day. You know, like Levi's, I was doing with them. Honestly, I did an insane amount of money because I was renting them my camera, I was renting them everything. I was renting my shirt, I was renting everything to them. So and was really happy with it. So it was good. But yeah, my spare time, I enjoyed like the way I'm doing it here. Obviously, you understood I am passionate by what I'm doing. I'm not like, no, I don't care. You know, I'm passionate. So I try I started to do those classes and I was doing really well. And I don't remember what I was saying this. If I have to give a good, yes, the one thing, very one thing I see with all the people who want to start to be photographer, the one thing is they don't know any photographers, most of them. If I ask them, okay, give me 3 names of your favorite photographers, they don't know even one. Okay, it's like they all want to be models, you know, like now it's okay, but like when I was at school, everybody want to be a model. Why? Because, you know, with the TV and they put the models like the superstar, like Naomi Campbell, it's completely ridiculous. I hate this, you know, but then I see all the young people, the young girls, they were dreaming of being a model. You know, or your place is in front of it, or your place is behind the camera. My place is behind. I understood this. It could have been really fun to be a model actually, but my place is definitely behind. That's okay. So and I've seen an entire generation of people, they want to be a model, but this is completely bullshit. And so with the one who starts, the biggest problem I see with them, they don't know anything about photography. So they want to be fashion photographer, they can't name one single photographer. No matter what you do, if architecture, still lives, anything, they don't know. They just, hey, you know what? I want to be a photographer. That looks to be really cool, but they don't know much. So the culture and the knowledge of the image, the aesthetic, you know what is beautiful into a picture. Can you name what you like into that picture? That's what I'm asking them, you know, like really, really gently, but what do you like in that picture? What makes you feel, you know, that you like it? And then they're starting to understand the process. What makes the red line in between the work of this photographer is all the time the same kind of contrast. All the time the same kind of saturation. It's desaturated a little bit, okay? And then I ask them to try to do like a detective, you know? They say, find the red line into this work. And then you're going to probably understand why you like it. Then you can try to follow the step and try to find your own way of doing your image.
Usually they give the photographers who are looking well, who are looking like they have made sport. I watch the photographer with weddings, and all of them are looking good. And sport is not if they make good photos, but they are looking very well.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. No. I did not notice.
That's due to the videographs, because the photographs will also appear in the footage on the wedding.
True.
They are not making good photos.
Ok, guys, mai avem întrebări?
And this is in domain.
We stay 2 hours, yeah? Amazing. So, thank you
You're
for
welcome.
your time. And
My pleasure.
hope I'm going to see you again here, or maybe on internet, on YouTube, or who knows. Vă mulțumim mult de tot. Mulțumim și celor care au fost alături de noi până acum și mâine o să avem un live shooting cu Canon și joi o să fie o discuție între fotografii și un videograf, 3 fotografi și un videograf.
Thank you very much.
Până atunci, numai bine, vă mulțumim mult de tot și mai rămâneți aici, că încă nu s-a terminat. S-a terminat doar online. O seară bună!
Thank you. Thank you.